It's Sunday Fun Day, and I will be working on pow, 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 pow. This will probably be one of the most code-intensive streams I've had so far. I started on a little bit of a Redux refactor yesterday, and then I had to kind of stop in the middle of it. To go hang out with some good people and had an amazing day in the Springfield, the happiness of Oslo that happens in when we have one of our first kind of like true spring days. There were people all over the place, and since there's a ban on alcohol being served, people were sitting in parks with their own alcohol, and it was just like this great feeling. And I was so happy I live in a big city, or at least for us, big city, because Oslo, I guess, is probably one of the smallest cities of the world. But still, I get these feelings, I think, that most developers get, where it's like, maybe I should just like move to the countryside and, do no computer stuff or something like that. But yesterday's been one of those days where I fell in love with my city again. And I need that every spring, especially. I think people of Oslo come out, and we are really happy that we live in our city. Anyway, so that's my general energy today. I'm going to do some sharing, and then we'll start working. And if you're looking at the chat, it's Ula's birthday, and he just got a visit, so he will have to leave the chat, but you can leave birthday comments for him if you like. And then I also have to do some admin here. Okay, there's some admin. Let's see if we can do a little bit of sharing. I think I say this every Sunday. I need to go back and have a look and clip that I'm like, well, today I'm a little tired. This is early, people. I had to drag that's why we're on a little late too. I was like dragging myself out of bed. But I love that, because otherwise I would probably just, stay there and be a vegetable all day. And that's fine too. Some days you need to do that. But I really like to get this work done on Sundays. So, but not as prepared. Because I've been putting a lot of my energy into the Friday streams. I don't know if you've seen those, but on Fridays, I do Gatsby Deep Dives with me as Queen, Ray, and the Nattermob pirates. Some other people come on stream, and we talk about Gatsby, and Pirate Paul kind of talks me through some kind of Gatsby advanced topic. We've been doing 2 of those, and they're doing really well, I think, at least, and they're a lot of fun to do. So if you want to see a more kind of energy filled, a more teaching style stream from me, you should check out Fridays at 8 o'clock at night. So, okay. People who are here, let me know where you're, tuning in from, who you are, those kinds of things. Get me excited about the stream. And then I promise we'll be showing up some code pretty soon. Pretty soon. I am just going to share this, and then we are good to go. Is this the correct one, though? No, this is the correct one. I shared the wrong one. I shared the link to the next week's one. There we go. Okay, let's head on over to do some coding. Peoples of the internet. There, we are good to go. So I think this is going to be big enough. Move panel right, I think works better. Where did it go? Where did it go? Okay, I think this should work. So I stopped in the middle of this yesterday, and we'll see where we're at, because I know I got some error messages. So what I have now with POW is that I have feature I've organized my code in features. And some of these then have Redux slices, and some of them do not have Redux slices. So the one that I kind of refactored yesterday was auth, and I made it into auth and user. And I also think we should have a subscription slice. But I know at least that I was here somewhere on this slice where I had called everything authorizing, authorized, unauthorized. And I can't spell. So I had tons of mistake between authorized and authorizing. So I changed that to pending, fulfilled, and failed. And then in the hook, so that's the big refactor I did yesterday, is that before I had like a ton of little selections, create selector, where I selected like one of these things, but then it hit me, and I remembered also I did some mentoring with Swissack. You can find him on Twitter, and I remember him like saying that, but it didn't really register that I could, instead of doing a ton of selects and have like tiny selectors, I could do either a larger select, but also a hook that I could then use in my code instead of using the selectors in my code. And I started doing that yesterday, and that felt a lot cleaner. And it also kind of encapsulates the whole Redux part. So I could then, in theory, change out useAuth to use any other, state technology or framework or any other like way, as long as this return stays the same. Not completely now, because I still dispatch the actions using Redux in the components, but I can, if we get time to that today, I could also have this kind of return, log in, sign out, all of that stuff, so that all of the kind of Redux logic is encapsulated in this use auth hook, and then in the use user hook, and then in the use subscription hook, if that makes sense. So we are not, I'm not going to be explaining that much today. We're just going to try and do the coding and, jump into the comments. If you have any suggestions or if you have any questions, I'm happy to take that. I'm going to make a little banner so people coming here later know what we're working on. So refactoring, some Redux Toolkit, Redux Toolkit stuff. And this was the wrong one. Sorry. This is the one we want. And then I want to add on. Feel free to join in. There we go. Okay. So I know I started working on these, and I want is pending, is fulfilled, is failed. Great. But now I have to go and refactor all of these. Is authorized, is blah, blah, blah. So we are going to then just do a search for is auth and then see if we can find all of our things. So I want to do, it's hard when the screen is so small. I'm going to do this because I need my file explorer there. So let's see. It's authenticated. And then that would be is fulfilled now, but then I want to change the name so it's auth fulfilled. But let's start by just renaming this so that it is renamed auth fulfilled. We can spell. And if there are TypeScript people out there, then yes, at some point I will do, especially all the Redux stuff in TypeScript. But we're staying with this for now. Auth fulfilled. There we go. And then it's called is fulfilled. So what I'm doing here is that I'm destructuring and renaming in one so that I can see here easier, because if it was is fulfilled down here as well, I would like that would confuse me with all of the kind of other stuff. So is fulfilled is auth fulfilled. So that's good. And then we'll go back to our search. So that was the one we changed now. Is disabled. Yeah, that's the one we changed now. Profile. Let's do the same way. So is authenticating should then be is auth pending. And is auth authenticated should then be is-auth fulfilled. Fulfilled. And then it's called is fulfilled. This one is called is ending. Okay, so that's good then. And then it's also easier for me to read this because when I was authenticating and authenticated, like my brain does not compute. I'm a little dyslexic, so that was just not working for me. So I see there are some new people joining. Well, welcome. We are refactoring some Redux code, Redux Toolkit code. So what I've been doing is go from like a bunch of tiny selectors and instead making this useAuth where I do my selections and later also my dispatching so that all of the Redux stuff is encapsulated and my components will not have to know that we're using Redux. Okay, so we were doing this one and then we're over here on recover. We're just going to do it slow and steady because I am a little tired today. It's authenticating, so it's auth pending. Rename is auth fulfilled. And then this one is called fulfilled. And this one is called is pending. So I could, of course, in my slides, I could have done is auth pending, is auth fulfilled, is failed. Maybe I should do that. That's clear, even though that's use auth. I'm going to do that so we don't have to like rename all of this every freaking time. Oh, let's go back and forth with these things, but let's be clear. It's going to be better. So then we have to go back and we just say that it's called is auth fulfilled. We don't need to rename the structuring. It's auth fulfilled, yeah, and then we'll do the same here. So what has everyone been up to this weekend? As I said, I spent a lot of the day outside yesterday in the sun, and when the spring finally arrives, it's such a good feeling. Because I live in a cold northern country, so is-auth. What's this? Authenticating is-auth pending. No, I had to rename it. Not. Sometimes I find these things kind of meditative when you're just like doing these things. Sometimes it just takes a while before I'm allowed to rename this actual symbol. There we go. I don't know if it's meditating for you, watcher, to see me just rename a bunch of things. So, oh, here we had something. So is auth pending. Oh yeah, so since I could probably have anyway. Let's not think too much about this. I'm just renaming it to the same name so that it will change further down the code. Is-auth fulfilled, is-auth. I hear BirthdayBoy is on his way out to do a little bit of celebration with his mom that just came to visit. Yay! Hurra for deg som fyller idag, ja, deg vil vi gratulere! Is-auth pending. So this is also a larger effort where I'm trying to make, I want to make an app Chrome that kind of like, so an app Chrome is kind of like the outline of the app, and I want that to show up even while things are authenticating and loading and stuff like that. So it feels like things are a little faster, like you might be used to from, you know, Facebook or Twitter. As soon as you land on the page, you can kind of see the outlines of the application, but then things start filling in. And this kind of refactor is also to prep for that a little bit better, so that I have a better structure that I can go and say, check if it's authenticating or auth pending, and then do different things. So that's why I'm also doing this work a little bit. So useAuth failed. Okay, so we obviously have, so I did some refactoring earlier, and I think maybe I did something wrong, because obviously we want, if auth failed, we want to navigate to login and not the not. And then if auth is fulfilled, but then the subscription is not, we want to navigate to the profile page. That makes sense. And then as long as, so this is the stuff I want to refactor later, because here I just kind of throw up a loading page. That's the only thing you get to see, and it keeps on like spinning and spinning and spinning. So we're going to see that pretty soon, but I want to get away from that and get like that app Chrome going. But then I needed this refactor. It's funny when you already have legacy code, and if you like, you're just on the minimal viable product space. Okie dokie, I'm getting into it. Oh, let's do a build and see where we are at, if this fails or not. Okay, dokie, okie dokie. We're waiting for the build. I need to talk to my composer friend so he can make me some build music. So you don't have to listen to my less than musical genius singing. Hi there. Okay. Why is this build taking so long? Oh, well, we'll just kind of wait for it. So we kind of changed all the files, it feels like, with this change, but it's fine. I kind of need to like restructure everything a little bit to get to where I want to be, where it's going to be easy to add pages and easy to add components. And I want the components kind of be self-sufficient in that they know, like, each little square kind of has its loading state and its unauthenticated state, so that it can be easier to just like pluck them and mix them instead of having to make sure how to do that on the top level. So command click, and we will have a look-see. So yeah, we have that major spinning thing, and it should stop spinning when we're authenticating, and that is not happening right now, I think. So I have to figure out where that goes wrong. Because if we go to our Redux, yes, we do have a user, and we also auth. Oh, so auth is still pending, so something is wrong there, of course, because it shouldn't be pending anymore now that it got itself a user. So let's go back to the code. And then we should be in the auth slice, or in our auth feature, and the slice. And then we see here that we have init pending. So then it's pending, and then it's fulfilled. Oh, so we want to make sure. So we're still in the, so does this not happen? Because this is on our init. Prime. Maybe I can see the, maybe I can even, I could just have a look at the actions. Init pending user updated. So we're not getting an init fulfilled. Getting init pending and then user updated, but not getting the init pending. So let's go back to our init function then, which is a thunk. So it might be that I asked it not to return. Yeah, it is returning. Maybe I have to await this one. Does that make sense? Let's see, refresh. So I'm pretty new to this thunk stuff. I've been just doing Redux Observer before. So we are so we're not getting an index pending and the user updated because we're getting the user updated here. So if we skip this, will we then get an init fulfilled? Because I got that before. So the logic here with Redux Toolkit is that you can make thunks, create async thunk. It helps you to create them. And what it does on its own is when you kind of call it, it fires off an init pending action. And then if this goes okay, like there's no errors, it should fire off an init for fulfilled action. Or if it fails, it should fire off an init failed action. And then I kind of catch that down here in these extra reducers. And if you create just reducer functions, then they become action. You don't have to create your own action functions. They are created for you by Redux Toolkit. So it's pretty nice. But we are not getting an init pending. We are not getting the init. We are not getting any fulfilled from it, which is weird because we did get a user out of it. Here is a problem. Slice. Cannot read property user of undefined. So that's probably maybe in this. So if we just do state fulfilled here to start and see if that helps. So personally, I'm very much a big fan of kind of the way that Redux, you can like visualize it in this like Redux tool thing. Yeah, so that works. So our error is in here. So I'm not completely sure what will be sent in there because it's an error if it's rejected. And I think it's the payload. So I think maybe our payload here is in it, and then we send the user. So then, of course, this whole payload is that. So we have the user here. And if it's a user, then it's fulfilled. But if there's no user, then this init function has not authenticated a current user. So that's from user base. If you go to user base, docs. So the way you kind of initialize the whole user base is with init, and you send in your app ID, and then what you get back is a session. And if that session has a user on it, then we know there is already a logged in user. And if it doesn't have a session on it, we don't have a logged in user. So that's what I'm checking here. I do the init, I do user base init, and then I see if there's or I deconstruct a user from the session, and then I send that user back. And that's what we're getting down here in our init fulfilled. We get the user, and if it is a user, we have fulfilled the auth. If there's no user, it has failed. But I also want to dispatch. So I have a user update user handler here. So every time the user is changed somewhere on another client, then this update user handler is called, and I dispatch the user updated. But that is not called kind of on that first init. So we also need to dispatch, if I can take away my, I also need to dispatch dispatch user updated with that user as soon as we return, so that my user slice will get this user updated thing. Updated thing. Let's try to be a little bit more precise in our language, Benedicta. And we're waiting. So this time we want to see init pending, init fulfilled, and then we also want to see user updated. Action. Init pending, yes. User updated, yes. Init fulfilled. So pending, updated, fulfilled. So somehow this gives us, the timeline sends us to login, which is not what we want. So something is up with that logic. So I think we might have something wrong in our, so is auth failed, auth status failed, pending fulfilled failed, pending fulfilled failed. Let's make sure that they are called different things up here. Pending fulfilled failed, pending fulfilled failed. Okay, let's go back to our timeline page. So what I do is, if is auth failed, then it should navigate to login. So why does it navigate to login when it's never failed? That, I think, is weird. So let's console log here. All of these values. Is auth fulfilled. And then is subscribed. Then let's try to do the timeline again and see what happens in our console log. Oh, auth failed. That's what. I saw it now. Just read it. So obviously in the auth slice, here I'm checking if there is a user, and if there is, it's fulfilled, and if it's not, it's failed. So I have to see, why is this returning? Then it's returning the user. But what are we actually getting here? So let's just do, I don't know, payload, console log, payload, and then check what happens. So it's fulfilled, but we said that it failed because there was no user. Oh, but I could also throw in there. That would be a better solution, actually. That would be a better solution. Yes, it does get, that's the user type. Oh, so there's a type and a fulfilled and then meta. Oh, okay. So it's not giving me, I have to go into the payload to get the user. I see, but I just realized that there's a better way of doing this. So I should throw something in here. So if user, we dispatch user, and then we will return it down here. But if there is no user, oh, so let's do the opposite. If no user, let's throw an error. And that will then be caught by init failed, and that will give us the auth failed instead of me doing that in my reducer. I feel like that's better logic. So if you agree, let me know in the chat. If you don't agree, let me know in the chat. So if no user, throw new error. No valid user on session. Because then it will throw, Excuse me. Oh, okay. Woo. So no error, no valid user on session, but if there is a user, this will continue. Then all we need to do down here is say that it is fulfilled. And then if it's rejected by me throwing, then it's rejected and the error will be set. It's not really an error though, because people might be logged in without, people don't have to be logged in. So I don't know, like if it's a true error, but let's just keep it like that. Error, null, error, null. Maybe I should put these above as I do in error, error, and the same thing here. So these are pretty much identical, the init and the auth, but I keep them as separate to see them as separate actions in the Redux thing and the Redux DevTools, and also because they're a little bit different because the init user-based init gives back a session object with a user set on it, while the auth functions sign out, sign in, and sign up returns the user and not a session. So I wanted to keep them separate. Okay, let's see where we're at now. So it looks like we're not being sent off to the login screen at least, but it keeps, come on. Yep, so pending, updated, fulfilled. We have a user. We have auth fulfilled. It's all good. But why is this still spinning? Let's go back to our code. So this now works fine. Then we have if is auth pending and data is loading, or data is loading, then this should happen. So I am thinking maybe data is still loading. So if we do only, it looks like our databases are empty. But why are they now not loading? It's because we have init pending, user updated, init fulfilled, and then we have to kick off the loading of the data. And I'm pretty sure I do that in the root element. So use user, I say that if user ID changes, then I want to dispatch init settings and init entries. That's obviously not working for me. So, but at least we got the auth stuff working. So now we go to user, which I also refactored, user updated. And then we have, I send back use user, and there's no user ID. So it's the user, and then there's error, and then it's updating. So let's go back and kick off the init if user ID has changed. I could also spread this. I'm a little unsure. Should I spread it or should I keep it as its own? I think maybe I want to spread it. So here I've done a little bit differently where I do have two selectors because I do a little bit of transformation on the user to make sure that it has everything I need. So then I created its own selector for that so that, and then, but this will always, oh, I should change this because I think it's going to be fine with how much it changes because it doesn't change that much. I'll do the optimization later. But anyway, so use user, I get the error, and then I have the user there. So let's just keep it as user. I think maybe that's good. But then in our root function here, what we are saying is that if the user changes, but I don't really care if the user changes because somebody, the user might want to update their email, and I don't want to dispatch init setting and init entries on just an email changing. I just want to do it if the actual user changes. So I'm going to deconstruct user ID from user if it's there. Got all manners of things popping up. So we do const user ID equals user, then user ID in case there is no user. And then I change here to user ID. Let's see if that works in our favor. There we go. So yeah, we had init fulfilled, you got the user, and then it started opening. It sent an action to open settings and an action to open entries, and then start listening to changes. So we got a change. So the change actually comes in before it's fulfilled, which is interesting, and then change fulfilled. So all of that is working perfectly. Yes. Woo, woo, woo. I think it's time to commit. I am liking this work where it's in a hook instead a lot. Like that makes sense to me now that I see it. It's weird though. It takes time to get these kind of structures and like best practices or whatever settled in your head. So I want to take all of them and then all of them in. There we go. So make sure that all pages work like this now. We have the profile page. Let's Oh, we got kicked off to a login. That should not happen. So this is also part of what I've been talking about. I want to kind of make better, but now we're just going to make it work like it is at this time. But if auth what failed, then we want to do that. I want to centralize this, obviously. But right now, I just want to make it work within the structure we already have, and then I can refactor that structure. Because you don't want to refactor too much at the time. I do have a tendency to do that, but, trying to be better, right? I am going to go out and do some walking today. I can feel it. Yeah, so this worked. So we only have the timeline and the profile now. So we managed to refresh timeline and we're still logged in. We managed to do profile and we're still logged in. Then we want to test if we can change the email and stuff still. If we can change the profile. So let's go back to our Redux. Should we have this on the side? Maybe that's better. Oh, that's big. Well, that's fine. Super. So let's edit email. So obviously something is wrong here. Your current POW email is nothing, but it obviously is. So we got to go and check that out. So let's go to the profile, edit email page, use user. And again, I had that mistake where I think it's the user, but there's a user object. So we do user, And then we need to do const what we had. I guess we can do then the user or an empty object so that it will work. And there we go. There we have it. So let's try. So it's February 12th. Let's do this one. And then we just do kind of new and see new. Cool. And then edit email. And let's take it back. Cool. And while it was updating, did we get, so user update pending. And then we got that user updated from another slice, from the auth slice. And then we got user updated fulfilled. So it's not idle anymore, and it has updated its user. Good stuff. And then I would like to receive the email. We updated the user. So obviously something went wrong here because now we have a user. Oh, or was that just a diff? Yeah, no, it was just a diff. So we have the user with a profile. And we say newsletter 1 and welcome complete. We do this. We should get newsletter 0. So that is working well. Okay. And we're not going to do, well, we could edit the password too. Edit password. So the old password is February 12th, February 12th. The new password should be February 12th, February 12th, February 12th. Okay, and we have no idea of checking that now. We want to receive the newsletters. Yes. So then we can test out the logout. Not working. But I think we're in a weird situation now where we don't have a user, right? Our state is user idle, but we have auth fulfilled. So something weird happened there on the logout. But if we refresh this now, I think we'll see that we get kicked off to the login page, and then we'll have to see what's wrong with the sign out. Yes, we're kicked in. So February 12th, and then our new email password is 3 times that login. Good. So what happened on logout? We have to figure that out. So what I do is that I just send people to the logout page, or the sign out page. So what we want to do is then, okay, what am I doing here? So I send you to the sign out page. And if there's an error, then it failed somehow, and otherwise it should be signing out. So that's correct. But I don't think I want to use the error from auth. I want to wait until I get an actual error from the sign out. So, or how do I do that? Well, I could use the, yeah, because sign out will then obviously set that to null. And then if I get it, so the error will be set to null. Well, I can use it from there. Yeah. So is auth fulfilled and is pending, auth is pending. I don't really care. If you come to this page, I just want to, boom, I want to sign you out. And then I'm saying if auth is fulfilled, I want to navigate you to the home page, which is good because it shouldn't be fulfilled. So if it's pending, I don't want to dispatch another sign out. So I guess if the auth is fulfilled, which means somebody's logged out, I want to dispatch sign out. Maybe I shouldn't just send people off the sign out page. Yeah. So if auth is fulfilled, dispatch sign out, else navigate. I guess that's all I need, actually. Is auth fulfilled? Because if we're pending, can we do sign out then? I guess we could. Or could we? Because we could be in the middle of init. If we go to the sign out page, and that's the first page we go to, we still want to sign out. So, or so we could also do just an if on this one. If is auth failed. Maybe let's not navigate away from this page. Is auth fulfilled? Is auth pending? I'm wondering if the sign out can fail at all. Can it though? Okay, let's do this one at least. So if you go to this page, I want to dispatch sign out, and let's say it's okay that it just like keeps on dispatching sign outs. Like that's okay. All we want to do is when you get to this page, we want to dispatch the sign out as soon as possible. Why is this not working? There we go. And then we can do, if there's an error, where there's an error in the sign out failed, else. If it's pending, then it's pending. Okay, let's just see if this works then. Oh, sign out will also give us a fulfilled, of course. Yes. Because the sign out worked. The sign out worked, but we're unauthorized. So maybe we don't want to do fulfilled and failed. We could do auth failed. Oh, I gotta give this a think. Oh my god, why is this so hard? Why shouldn't I should be able to make this by now? So of course we can't have, because you can fail a sign in for whatever reason. But then if you fail to sign out, you're still logged in. But if you fulfill this sign out, you're logged out, right? So we have to do something better with our auth code slice here. So I had pending, fulfilled, and failed, but that's not really true. Well, I could do, so fulfilled means it's signed out. Well, maybe another, what's a better word for, because I had authorized and unauthorized, but I kept like messing it up. But let's do authorized and unauthorized and then pending instead of authorizing, because that's where like my problems were. If we do authorized, I can't even spell it. Is there another name? Anybody who's watching, is there another better name for like unauthorized and authorized? Let me have another look at Swiss's useAuth, and let's steal some thoughts. I think he even does like a big. I like that the commit message was blah. Yeah, so he has unauthenticated, authenticating. That's what I had, but I kept messing up the freaking. I can't spell it. So yes, let's do then pending, authenticated, and unauthenticated. That's better. Because my thing was I was messing up authenticating and authenticated. I kept like messing that up in my brains. I need them to be like different. So do pending and then authenticated. Unauthenticated, authenticated. And authenticated. I spelled it right. Yes. And then unauthenticated. Let's just copy that. I'm not going to even try to spell that. And authenticated. Not my most energetic stream, this, I will tell you. And then all the way down here, we then have isAuth pending. We have isAuth authenticated. And then isAuth is unauthenticated. Authenticated. Unauthenticated. And then we need to think about our logic again. And all of these pages, I love it. They actually they all rename themselves on their own. Thank you, VS Code. Okay, then we need to rethink this. So no valid user on sessions. If the init fails, then I guess, So I kind of made this auth so that it's reusable. And then, but I'm guessing if you sign out, you get a user, it's not. Yeah. I have to rethink this a little bit. So especially if you init and it's fulfilled, and now I'm throwing an error, but then the init might fail for some other reason. So this was wrong. Let's not do this. But if it's a user on there, we want to set the user. We want to dispatch a user object, and then we also want to do that on every update user handler. Then we dispatch user updated. Then we have a return and return the user. I guess we can return if you're authorized or not, or we can just return the user. But let's say let's return the status, if it's unauthorized or not. So return a status. Then if there's a user, then the status is status authorized. or authenticated. And if it's not, it's auth status and authenticated. That's good. I like this. So then we do init pending, and then we get the state. Well, the pending is pending, and then we do fulfilled. But then I guess we also need a failed in case it fails. Well, failed would be unauthenticated, I think. Yeah. So if it's failed, it's still not. Well, then it's kind of still pending because it doesn't know, right? So let's just stick an error on there. Let's go and have a look at SwissSec again. So state unauthenticated, authenticated, verifying. Authenticated, and then error. So he has error as a state. Yeah, so let's do failed as well. Whenever we failed, we'll set the error. Okay. I think that's going to be good. I don't know how helpful, if you're watching this in the replay, I don't know how helpful this is because I got nowhere, but it was super helpful for me because it got me into this again. And I'm going to keep on working for another couple of hours on this. If you want to see the code, it's in, I'll have a link in the description, and you can go and have, have a think, give me some suggestions if you have. And I'm going to try and be more energetic next time. We're going to do, I think on Sunday next time, we're going to try to move from ConvertKit to user list that I tested out a couple of weeks ago. We're going to move from that. So that's going to be more of a contained thing that I will hopefully get to be done in an hour. But I've been having fun with my Redux. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching me muddle through this. Maybe it was a little meditative for you to just see somebody coding and listening to me thinking out loud. I hope so. And if not, see you next Sunday where we're doing something more exciting, or on Friday when we do Queen Ray and the Nattermob Pirates. Those are always fun. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a great Sunday. And pow, 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 pow.